All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another world famous self-directed IRA Saturday with Quest Trust Company. Quest Trust Company, the voice of self-directed IRA and alternative investment education. My name is Kurt Power. I'm one of the certified IRA specialists here with Quest Trust Company, coming at you from Houston, Texas today, where it's about 195,000 degrees today, but that's not going to stop us today. We've got a really great speaker today and a really interesting market in residential assisted living. One of the, frankly, the family that I feel like created this industry for real estate investors. We have Isabelle Guarino-Smith with us today with the Residential Assisted Living Academy. Going to give you a great presentation about how this could be one of the big missing elements in your portfolio. And she's going to give you a lot of great education about why this should be an asset class that you look to invest in. Before we get started, though, just a couple quick housekeeping items. I want to make everybody aware that as an IRA specialist, we promote self-directed IRAs. With Father's Day this weekend, we have a promotion that ends at midnight tomorrow. Fathers 22 is that promo code, and I'll put it in the chat here. But it's $100 for unlimited accounts for you and your family. So if you've been on the fence about opening up a self-directed IRA, or if you've been looking for the right time, take advantage of this offer. Anytime you can save money as an investor, we know that's a great thing. Second key thing I want to talk about is the Quest Expo. It's right around the corner, September 23rd to the 25th here in Houston at the Westin in the Galleria. Very exciting news that we announced recently. If you don't know, NFL Hall of Famer, the greatest running back of all time, Dallas Cowboy legend Emmitt Smith will be our keynote speaker on September 23rd. We are very, very excited to welcome Emmitt Smith. I mean, it just kind of goes hand in hand. Football season, Texas, one of my personal heroes. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys, the greatest organization in the history of sports. So very excited about that, as well as 2.5 days of some of the best education you're going to have in real estate. Don't limit yourself and think this is a self-directed IRA conference. This is a true real estate conference, alternative investing conference. Residential assisted living will be there, so make sure you check them out here for a further deep dive into what she'll be talking about today. But 2.5 days of education, everything from legal, everything from the different asset classes you can invest in, things like self-storage, apartments, subject twos, all are going to be discussed at this world-class event. If you haven't been to the expo, highly encourage you to do so. If you have been to the expo, you already know how good it is. Go to questexpo.com today, check out the agenda, get your tickets, make plans to be there. But I also want to promote one more thing. We're talking about residential assisted living today, and Isabel's going to jump on here real quick. They've got one of the best conferences in the United States. A week after the Quest Expo, September 29th to October 2nd in Phoenix. October in Phoenix. There's not much better place to be in the world. Residential Assisted Living National Conference, September 29th to October 2nd at the Arizona Grand Resort. Fabulous resort. Deep dive into what we're talking about today. If you have questions, obviously Isabel's going to answer them today. But further educate yourself. I mean, if this is all things that you're invested in, use these things as resources, use these events, use Isabel, use myself as resources to kind of guide you on that journey. So without further ado, I want to keep it short and sweet. You guys know who I am. You know who Quest is. I want to bring my good friend, Isabelle Guarino-Smith, on now. Isabelle.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I mean, you and I have known each other for 8 to 10 years now.
Yeah.
We've kind of grown up in the industry together. So it's always a pleasure to see you guys. I love residential assisted living. I love you. I love your family. I love your mom. I love your dad. You guys have always been great to me and been just a pleasure to work with. And it was interesting when I first got into real estate. You think about fix and flips. You think about loaning money. Nothing wrong with those strategies at all.
Nope.
But those outside the box things that maybe we don't think about.
Yeah.
How outside the box is it really, though? When we think about residential assisted living, we think about from an investment point of view, maybe it's outside the box, but this is something that exists all around us. And what I love about what you guys do is the mantra you have of doing good and doing well, because this impacts all of us. As investors, I always argue the things that make us successful, that's about us. But what makes us significant, and that's kind of that generation, that legacy of what we're trying to do as investors, what better legacy than residential assisted living, taking care of our loved ones. And the fact that we get to add that to our portfolio just as investors just makes it almost a win-win. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Well, now that I've teed that up for you, I'm going to stop talking right now. I'm going to let you get to it, and I'll be in the chat. If you guys have questions, please leverage the chat box. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. I'll answer questions as I can along the way, but if there's something pertinent for Isabelle as it relates to this business, I'm going to save those for the end so she can answer them directly. So without further ado, Isabelle, take it away, please.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate that intro. And we're so excited to be at Quest Expo coming up in September. It is an incredible event. So if you don't have your tickets, get them, because we love being there, and all the vendors, speakers, sponsors, everybody is incredible. So today I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of what we will be sharing more about there at that event. We're going to be going over the one and done RAL formula, and I'm going to try to jam pack the next 45 minutes with as much information on this alternative investment strategy for you, how to start, own, and operate your own residential assisted living home, just like we were talking about, to create purpose, security, and wealth, not just wealth. For those of you who don't know, my father, Gene Guarino, passed away last October. He was kind of known as the godfather of assisted living, right? He really was one of the pioneers of our industry because it's existed for a long time, but really in more of a mom and pop style. So what he did was took this and made it more of a professional business and something that entrepreneurs and investors could get excited about, that the cash flow was just as good as the impact. Just like we were talking about, that do good, do well. So over the last 8 years, I worked side by side with him, building a bunch of companies, and had so much fun doing it. I really found my passion and purpose in life, which is helping people build companies and businesses. But when we're talking about senior housing, I always like to ask this question: why is now the best time? The world is going crazy right now. There is news every day that is freaking us all out, right? But right now is an incredible time for senior housing. It is a recession-proof industry because the baby boomers are coming, baby. They're coming and you cannot stop them. It's the silver tsunami of seniors. The baby boomers have been driving the economy for the last 70 years, and this is their final wave goodbye. Pun intended, right? It's Father's Day, so there's a dad joke for you. Our company's motto is to do good and do well, because as we go through this presentation, you're going to see that you can make a massive impact on your family, your community, but you can also make major cash flow with this opportunity. When we look at this chart, it's showing us what the world looked like in 1960 versus 2060, right? Two major differences. That circle area at the top, 85 plus demographic, is the fastest growing demographic on our planet today. That's absolutely incredible. But another major thing you might notice is there's just way more millions of people alive today than there ever was before, right? This is projected, but you can see it's still coming. This isn't just one wave and it goes away. Those baby boomers had babies and more babies, and they had babies, and it kept going and going. And we just have more people alive today than we've ever had before. What we're talking about with residential assisted living is kind of like what Uber did to taxi or Airbnbs did to hotels. We're disrupting the senior housing industry. We're saying no more are big box facilities the only opportunity for seniors. No more. There's something different, and it's better, and it's newer, and it's fresher. And I promise you're going to like it more because the seniors like it more. The blue arrow is showing us who's currently living in assisted living. It's still the silent generation. There's about 47 million of them. And then that massive green wall, that massive spike, that's what happens after World War II, right? The baby boomers, there's 76 million of them. At the peak, there was over 4 million babies being born every single year for that span, right, of the baby boomer generation. That is insane. There is massive demand for assisted living, no matter how you want to get involved. But when we think about our world today, you know, the metaverse coming and gas prices and politics and inflation and recession, and we can go crazy thinking about what's going to change this year. Sometimes I like to switch up the question and start to ask, well, what's not going to change? Because if I only focus on what's going to change, I'm going to just drive myself off the wall, because it's like we can never predict every single thing that's going to come. But we know what's not going to change. Seniors aging and needing care is never going to change. When money gets tight, that vacation to La Jolla or Santa Barbara goes away. Paying for mom or dad's care and house does not go away. That's not a luxury item, it's a necessity. And so, if you want to bank on something that's recession proof, literally in the last recession, we asked all of the people we knew in the industry, how did it affect you? And they were like, what recession? Because people don't stop paying for mom or dad's care. It is something that you just have to do, it's not going to change. And many of you may relate to our personal story, how we got started in this industry. Our journey began with a phone call. Help. Grandma fell and broke her hip. She needs 24/7 care and help with activities of daily living. She can't go home alone. What do you do when you get that call? Do you literally quit your job and have your loved one move in with you so you can take care of them 24/7? Do you tell them, I'll give you in-home care? You can stay in your house and I'll pay for in-home care. Or do you put them into a home? And as soon as you say it, you feel a little sick to your stomach. You feel a little guilty, right? Well, this is exactly the scenario that happened with my grandmother. And we hunted and hunted and hunted for a home that was suitable for her for residential or assisted living in general. She was living in upstate New York at the time, and there was nothing. The average homes were literally disgusting. I didn't want to leave my goldfish, let alone my beloved grandmother. We had to find another opportunity. So we put her in in-home care, which is ridiculously expensive. And I'll share with you those numbers later. It's really more of a short-term option, not a long-term option. But we put her there in the meantime until we could figure something out, right? So then we went back to Arizona where we were living at the time, and we kind of stumbled into residential assisted living. Now, my grandmother passed before we could move her into one of our homes, but she's kind of the reason why behind us getting started in this. And now my meme photographed with me here is the last of my 4 grandparents living today. And it's important to me to give her a place of luxury, her a place with quality care, to give my mom that. My mom's still alive. And when she needs this, I want to be able to give that to her. And if I can cash flow in the meantime, then that's pretty incredible. What a solution, knocking out so many things. My dad always used to say, I guarantee you're going to get involved in senior housing one way or the other, right? You're either going to be lying in the bed, writing a check for someone to take care of yourself or your loved one, or you could own the facility, have your loved ones or yourself live for free and be cash flowing in the meantime, leaving your own children an absolute blessing, a cash flowing asset. Today, I'm going to share with you the 5 keys to success in residential assisted living. I'm also going to show you how to become a preferred real estate provider. This is for those of you who are more passive investors and want to get involved in this opportunity, but in really a more passive sense. And at the end, I'll give you an opportunity to get my dad's last book that he published right before he passed, the One and Done RAL Blueprint. So we'll give that to you for free today. I'm Isabelle Guarino-Smith. Obviously, I had a beautiful intro in the beginning. Thank you so much for that. I'm the COO of Residential Assisted Living Academy. I was named top senior housing influencer under 30 by Globe Street Magazine. My family's owned and operated 3 residential assisted living care homes in Arizona. I'm the lead educator at RAL Academy. We've trained over 100,000 people worldwide. I was also named Future Leader by Senior Housing News, and I built those 8 companies I showed you earlier over the last 7 years or so, 3 RAL-focused companies. I did almost all of this by my dad's side, and he was my best friend and mentor, but what meant the most to me was when Robert Kiyosaki pointed at him from across the room and said, "Hey, that's the RAL guy." I was like, OMG, Dad, do you know Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad? He's like, nope. Shh. And Robert came over and he's like, Jean, tell me everything. I want to know it all. What a moment. I mean, how cool. The guy who literally teaches everyone how to get out of the rat race, how to cash flow, how to get involved in real estate investing, coming to my dad, asking him, what he's doing and how he's making his cash flow. Absolutely incredible. They became great friends when we met him on the Real Estate Guys radio show cruise. They ended up hanging out in New Orleans again. He came to our national conference. He also lives in Arizona, so we've seen him a lot of times since. But what Robert saw in residential assisted living is a way to get out of the rat race. He's invested in a large facility, about $100 million he's invested so far. And it's pretty exciting that he thinks this is a great opportunity to get involved in. But it doesn't matter what any of the big wigs think. It matters if this makes sense to you in your life. So I'd love to ask this question. How much do you need each month to cover your own personal expenses? When you really think about it, the house, right? Your lease or mortgage, the kids, what's going on with them, dance, ballet, I don't know, soccer, whatever, are they in private school? Like whatever fees are involved in that, the food, the fun, really think about everything, like how your cars, how much do you need every month? And then that number, put it in your head. For most people across the country, when I ask this question, and of course it depends on where you live, but the average number is $10,000 a month. If I just had $10,000 a month coming in every single month, I could breathe. I could spend time with who I want. I could invest in what I want. I could buy that second home or that boat or that cool car, whatever it may be. Well, I'm here to tell you that residential assisted living can get you to that freedom number very easily with just one property. And I'm so excited to share with you how. But first, why? The demographics, we just saw some charts and statistics. This is an unstoppable silver tsunami of seniors. It is coming and you cannot stop it. It is a 20-year wave that is starting now. It's also inevitable. Like we said, you're going to get involved one way or another. And I'd rather show you how to do good and do well. Now, I know we mentioned the RAL National Convention that we host. It's that last weekend in September that falls into October. But we always have so many incredible guest speakers and people who want to come to that. Harry S. Dent, Robert Kiyosaki, Jonathan Goldsmith, the world's most interesting man from those Dos Equis commercials back in the day. We've had Brent Kessler. This year, we're having Tracy Tudor from Bravo's $1 Million Listing. It's going to be an incredible event. All of these people looking, seeing what's happening with RAL and saying, I want to get involved in this. I understand where the trends are going. You've got Meg the Stallion, who literally went back to Texas Southern University to get a degree to open an assisted living facility. I mean, this is a hot topic. Why does a rapper want to do this? I don't know her intent, but I read in an article it was about her love for her grandmother and how she wanted to provide top quality care. That's pretty cool. I'm sure she saw the benefit of the cash flow too, and that made a lot of sense to her. You've got Tyler Perry, who just launched a new TV show called Assisted Living, and Jimmy Buffett, who's opening Margaritaville themed retirement communities. How fun does that sound? I want to stay in one of those. But when we talk about the options for single family homes, I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can invest in. You could do fix and flip. My only problem with this is it's not cash flow, it's cash now. Because you get the home, you renovate, you sell it, and you make money. But you're making that 20 to 100K one time. So as soon as you sell it, you're out of the job. You've got to get another one to do it again and another one to do it again. And it's this rat race that you're in. So to me, it's cool, but it's cash now, not cash flow. Rental homes, single family rentals has been a very hot topic over the last 2 years. You could be making a couple $100 or more over, a course of a month. This is cash flow. It's just, you're going to need a lot of doors to hit that freedom number that you thought of earlier. Group homes, maybe for those who have clean, sober recovery needs, or developmentally disabled adults, or veterans, or the LGBT community, foster kids who've aged out. There's so many different options you could have for a group home. These you could be making $1,000 or more a month. And if that's where your heart lies, then this is an incredible opportunity to get higher cash flow. Airbnbs, even higher cash flow. I love to stay in them. I'm sure you do too. $2,000 a month or more on cash flow there. But with residential assisted living, owning and operating just one, you could be cash flowing $10,000 a month or more. So if I had one home to choose what to do with it, It's pretty obvious what I would choose, and I hope it becomes obvious for you too. You see, he who doesn't look ahead remains behind. It's really important for us to look ahead and see the trends and know what's going on, because the baby boomers and the silver tsunami, this is either going to be a massive crisis or a major opportunity for you. It depends when you get involved and how soon you take action. Remember how I told you my grandmother, we gave her in-home care until we could find something suitable for her? Yeah, the average national hourly cost is $24. So if you need 24/7 care, 24 times 24 times 30, that's $17,000 a month for in-home care, where a caregiver comes to live in your home. So you're still paying for your mortgage and your food and all of your extras on top of that $17,000 a month. That is insane. So if you've been telling your parents, don't worry, I'll get you in-home care, you may want to rethink it, because unless you are super cash heavy or have a ton of cash flow, that's really not an option for most Americans today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, I don't need 24/7 care. I just need them to come maybe while I'm at work, and I'll take the nights and weekends. Okay, that's still about $4,000 a month for that while you're at work. And now you just gave up book club or Bible nights or wine club or seeing your kids' debate game or PTO meetings. You just gave up your life. There is no more nights and weekends for you. When a senior needs 24/7 care, you can't leave them. And it's hard to bring them everywhere because it's hard for them to move. So this really isn't a viable option for most people. Now, assisted living costs about $4,300 per month on average across the country. That actually feels a lot more reasonable now once you've seen the comparison of the numbers. What is residential assisted living? It's just a group home for seniors that provides assistance with activities of daily living. It is not a Brookdale, a Sunrise, an Atrium, a big box facility with long hallways, impersonal staff, right? Where you're just a number. No, it's not this. And it's also not this, right? Golden Girls, independent living, right? For mature women who live in a home who need minor help with landscaping, changing a light bulb, minor things, right? It's not this. It looks more like this: a residential home in a residential neighborhood, right? Typically single level, but you can do 2-story, 3-story. We even have a guy in Jersey who has 4 stories, so that's no problem. It's usually in a regular neighborhood, right? Appreciating asset. It can even be in an upscale neighborhood or a luxury setting. But at the end of the day, when you look inside, it's just like a normal home: smooth, clean floors, age appropriate decorations and furnitures. In the bedrooms and bathrooms, there's beds, there's dressers, there's nightstands. It's set up to be senior safe and friendly. It's set up to be a comfortable home-like setting for the seniors. And who's living inside? None other than our adorable seniors, just enjoying their golden years. I love showing this photo because, to me, seeing the caregivers sitting, eating, enjoying a meal with the seniors means so much to me. You would never see this in a big facility. What you would see is a caregiver running around shoving food in 10 residents' throats to hurry up and get them in and out because she's got to deal with the next batch of seniors coming in. Now, I'm not blaming the caregivers, I'm blaming the system. But I love that we don't have to do that. I love that our caregivers are family and friends to our seniors, and that they can sit and enjoy and have fun and, be a part of this community, this family. That to me is beautiful. So our motto of do good and do well, I've kind of given you a lot of the heart side of it, a lot of the, meaningful things. And one more cherry on top: a lot of other investments, you're not getting love letters. You're not getting thoughtful text messages, hugs, cards, balloons, but we are. Every single day, our families thank us. They appreciate us because we're giving the ability for these daughters and sons to be daughters and sons once again to the senior who's living in our home. We're letting them take a breath, take that guilt off their shoulders, and know that their loved one is getting top quality care. If you want to be appreciated for the hard work that you do day in and day out, then this might be a great industry for you, because we get above and beyond love, compliments, everything. If you want purpose, like to do good and do well, make an impact on this world, if you want security, stable cash flow, and wealth, and appreciating asset, and to leave a legacy, then REL really might be for you. Because when I'm in a room of a bunch of real estate investors and I say, raise your hand if you do wholesale or fix and flip, short-term rentals, right? Hands are shooting up everywhere. Like everyone's in these industries, right? And then I'm like, raise your hand if you do residential assisted living. And only my hand, maybe one or two other hands go up. And let me tell you why. There are massive barriers to entry. This is not the easiest thing to get into, right? Not every 18-year-old in the nation is doing it. It's not an HGTV show, because there are hoops to jump through. And let me tell you a secret. I love that, because I don't want just anyone taking care of grandma, and you shouldn't either. But if you're someone who identifies with the words passion, grit, having a strong why, then this might be right up your alley. Because for those who are willing to do the work, the reward is great. The facts and statistics show us that there's 77 million baby boomers, 10,000 people a day turning 65, 4,000 people a day turning 85. 90% of seniors want to stay in their own home, but 70% will need daily care for an average of 3.5 years. My crystal ball says they will need home and assistance, and this is the time to get involved. Harry S. Dent, New York Times bestselling author of The Demographic Cliff, agrees. He says the opportunities of our lifetime in real estate development and investing is likely to be in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. I hope this video works. I want you to hear from him himself.
Yeah, so what Jane's in charge of is this organization called Residential Assisted Living. In your opinion, is that the best real estate play to be in?
It is, because I always tell people, because the baby boom was so large, everything they do as they age is the best sector. People say millennials, there's more millennials. Bull. They're not as big a wave. They're a fraction of the wave. So what assisted living and nursing homes do, they play the last stage of the baby boomers, the largest generation in history, and nobody sees it coming. Nobody.
Oh, we do.
You do. Nobody sees. I bring this up and people say, Harry, what are you smoking? There's the baby boomers already retired. They're already in assisted living. No, they're just starting.
Yeah.
In 2018.
Oh, yeah.
They got 26, 28 years of nonstop growth.
Yeah.
Nothing will grow faster and nobody will see it coming.
Isn't that cool to see all those guys sitting around talking about this and the trends that they're seeing? You've got Harry S. Dent, Robert Kiyosaki, my father, the late Gene Guarino, and then you may recognize Jonathan Goldsmith from the Dos Equis commercials, as well as Brad Upton from Comedy Central. This was at our last national convention. It's always a super fun time. So as Kurt said, I hope that we see you all there. Now, I know that you might be writing questions in the chat, like, what about the liability? Don't I have to work in the home? Didn't all the seniors die from COVID? Or I can't find good employees, or I don't have medical experience, or my neighborhood would never allow this, or seniors can't afford this. Ooh, let me pop back. Deep breath. We're in this industry. I don't just teach people how to do this. We actually do it ourselves. And we've taught thousands of others across the country how to do this successfully too. Our entire training team are successful students who learned from us, went out into the field, made it happen, come back to teach you all. No one is just teaching a concept. This is something we all do. So you do not have to work in the home yourself. We teach you to set it up as a hands-off investment. The liability is not through the roof. It's $1 a day per resident. With 10 residents, that's a line item at $300 a month. The seniors did not all die from COVID. If anything, 2020 and 2021 gave our industry the biggest boost we could have ever dreamed of, because people were ripping their parents out of big box facilities and begging to let them into our smaller homes. You can find good employees because, like we talked about, the caregivers having to shove food down the seniors' throats, and where you're just a number and you can't connect with the residents. They would love the opportunity to work in your home, in a luxury home, in an upscale setting where they only have a 5-to-1 ratio when they're used to a 50-to-1 ratio. You are providing an incredible opportunity, and we'll show you how to find, retain, and train the best of the best staff. You do not need medical experience, but if you are a doctor or nurse, that is a feather in your cap and it will be helpful to you, but you do not need to have medical experience. An HOA, a neighborhood, a city, an angry guy down the road cannot stop you from doing this. Because of the Federal Fair Housing Act, it is illegal to say that you cannot do this. It's discriminatory against the elderly, the disabled, because by the time they need to move into this home, they're basically disabled. They need help getting up out of bed, right? And doing all these things. So we have a legal team with our RAL National Association that can help you with any little angry person, all the way from an angry neighbor up to a state, because this is a federal law. So this is really a non-issue. And then seniors can't afford this. We're going to talk about that, how they do afford this. At the end of the day, this is just real estate that cash flows way more than all of the other opportunities. So what are the 3 smartest options to participate in RAL? First, you can own the real estate and lease it to the operator. We call this being the preferred real estate provider. You can get twice the fair market rent. Yes, you heard me right. This is what we do with one of our properties, and we literally lease it out to someone, right? They pay us twice the fair market rent. They are a long-term, low-impact tenant. Long-term because they signed a 5-year lease agreement with us that their price point increases every single year. We also gave them an option to buy at the end, right? They're a low-impact tenant because the house is a business. It's being kept pristine at all times. There's no punches in the walls. There's no pit bulls being bred in the living room or motorcycles being, dismembered in the living room. No. The worst that happens is grandma's little rocking chair hit the wall one too many times and there's a small little dent, right? There's really little or no maintenance that you are in charge of owning the real estate, right? The person who owns the business would be in charge of the maintenance and the upkeep. So that's one of the ways to get involved. Another way is to own the real estate and operate the business. This is also what we do and what we teach most of our students to do. And I will show you in a moment the numbers on number 2. Number 3, maybe you're very cash heavy and you just want to be a private lender or JV partner. This is an awesome opportunity for you to invest in one of our students or partner up with someone who wants to do this with you. So I know you're dying to know, how much money can you make? Show me the money, honey, right? First, I want to ask this question. How much does assisted living cost? Because this will help us determine how much you can make. So if you don't hear anything I say during this presentation, this is your homework. Go do your research because I think this will be eye-opening to you. Take a little screenshot of this website, genworth.com/cost of care. When you go to this website, you're going to type in your area where you live, and it's going to show you the average rates of assisted living in your area. There's even a really cool toggle button that can say, well, this is assisted living averages for today, but I won't need it for 10 years, or my mom won't need it for 30 years. Okay, so move that button and see how much it increases. The cost of assisted living has gone up 79% over the last 10 years. Do we think it's going to keep going up? Oh, yeah. So play with that tonight. Find out how much it costs in your area. Now, I know the next question is, well, I could do this anywhere. So what state has the highest average rates? Delaware's at the tippy top with 6,690. Then New Jersey and New Hampshire, Alaska, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, Washington, Vermont, Kansas, Hawaii, California, and Maryland tying at $5,000. But California is a big state, and many of our states are big states. So just because the state average is 5,000 doesn't mean where you live in the state is 5,000. When we break down California, Salinas average is 7,100 and Santa Cruz 6,800. And we go all the way down to Santa Maria at 5,000 and Stockton at 3,500. Now, this doesn't mean that if you love mom, you're going to move her to Salinas. And if mom didn't love you, you're moving her to Stockton. No, if you live in Oxnard, you're bringing mom to Oxnard. You're going to probably bring mom where you, the adult child, lives, right? Eats, works, sleeps, plays, because you want to swing by and say hi at her house as often as possible. So you don't want her in a faraway place. That's not how it works. So we already talked about if you had one RAL home that could provide you $10,000 a month, wouldn't you be more confident and secure knowing you could pay your bills easily and stay in control financially? Or be more comfortable knowing you could provide a home and assistance for your own loved ones if they ever need it? What about being more fulfilled, knowing you're leaving a difference and a mark on the world? All right, let's get into the numbers. $4,300 per month was our average rate that we found in the US. So we're going to go with that to go with an average home, right? Now, license for 10 beds. Most cities have a maximum number of residents allowed. It falls between 6 and 16. So we're going to go with 10 because it's right in the middle. So 4,300 times those 10 licensed bed brings us in $43,000 of monthly gross income. But of course, there's overhead, there's expenses. In our 3-day training, I break down all of these for you. But for my speedy little webinar with you guys today, we're just going to focus on the two numbers at the bottom, 18,000 versus 28,000. 18,000 is if you plan to live in the home, work in the home. You're going to be the cook, the baker, the candlestick maker, baby. That is not what we do, and it is not what we advise or teach you to do. I want you to focus on that $28,000 number, right? I want to make sure that you're running this passively, that you are hiring the staff who's going to do all of that for you so that you just sit back, own the real estate, own the business, and don't have to deal with any of the day-to-day. So let's go with our $28,000 number. So 43 minus that 28, and then debt service. Can you get a pretty nice home in most parts of the country for $5,000 a month? Yes, most parts of the country. That's leaving you with $10,000 of monthly net income or $120,000 of annual net income on one average 10-bed RAL home. Remember what I said about an average home that we found for my grandmother? I didn't want to leave my goldfish, let alone my grandmother. So I don't want you to focus on average. I want us to go nicer. I want us to go a little bit above average, right? Maybe it's in a better area. Maybe it's a nicer home, right? All of these different things. Maybe we're charging $5,500 times those same 10 residents, bringing us in $55,000 of monthly gross, minus the $28,000 in overhead, because the cost to do the home is relatively the same. It's your debt service that's going to massively go up or down depending on how nice the home is. Where is the home located? So we're going to bring it from 5 to 7 because it's a nicer home. This is leaving us with $20,000 of monthly net income or $240,000 of annual net income on one RAL home. Are you getting excited yet? I hope so. Because you want to know, one of our students, Scott and Michelle, they're out in Louisiana, and this is exactly what their numbers look like. $20,000 a month is what they're bringing in Louisiana. Are you kidding me? If that's possible there, it's possible anywhere, baby. Let's go luxury, because remember I said you could have between 6 and 16 residents. So let's say you're in an area that allows you to have 15 or 16 residents. We'll go with 15 for easy math, but it's a luxury home. This is upscale. This is beautiful. There's a chef, there's a salon, there's a movie theater, right? This is a gorgeous home. $7,000 per month per person times those 15 people, bringing us in $105,000 of monthly gross income. Our overhead, we're going to double it because we have more residents and because we have more amenities. This is a luxury home, right? I want to pay for more staff, but I also want to pay for that chef. I want to pay for that hair salon and everything else. Our debt service, we're also going to double it, bringing it from $7,000 to $15,000 a month in that debt service. That leaves us with $40,000 of monthly net income or $480,000 of annual net income on one RAL home. What would you be spending $40,000 a month on? What would you be investing in? Who would you be spending your time with? Would you quit your job? What would you be doing? This is pretty fun. This is pretty exciting to look at and think about, because at our training, we don't just teach you to do one of these homes. We actually teach you to do a 3-pack. We teach you to do 3, because if you're going to do this, why not really do it? Now, I want to briefly go over the 5 keys to success in residential assisted living. And first is location. For RAL homes, this is about density, demand, and demographics, right? We've got to make sure that the area that the area works. We've got to make sure we've done that research on how many people are there, how many beds already exist, how many beds are needed, and what do the demographics look like? What can they support? In our training, we teach you about the level 1 through 5, these different homes. Level 1 is the scary part of town where you don't want to get out of the car without your gun, right? And level 5 is like the most luxurious part of town where all the lawns are manicured perfectly. So we want to stick in that sweet spot, that level 3, 4. Financially, let's just use the US average. If 43 was our national average, anything below 4 would be below average. So we want to avoid that. That's our level 1, level 2. Anything above 4, that 4 to 8 range is going to be that sweet spot. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Ooh, look at level 5, 8 to 10,000 per person. That's what I want. You can absolutely do that, and many of our students do. But I want you to keep in mind, the chart gets smaller as we go to the top, right? Because your area of opportunity is shrinking. Your opportunity zone is shrinking. So level 3, 4 is really that sweet spot. We're not going to run out of supply here. Level 5, you've got to make sure that you are located absolutely perfectly. We taught this to Donald and to Linda, and they said, thank you. It's been amazing, the support we've received. We wouldn't have been able to make the journey without you guys. They've got a gorgeous home out in Kansas City, and I love that they are cash flowing over $20,000 a month on this 12-bed home. Absolutely incredible. Second is your team. You are not it. I want you to build your team, repeat it, and scale. I do not want you to be working in the home or doing anything of that nature. I want you to hire your licensed administrator. This is ours, Mariella. She oversees all the homes. We talk on the phone maybe once a week, and then maybe I go visit every other month just to check in and make sure everything's fine. Now, in the beginning, we work together to build that team, to be able to repeat it and scale, to get all the policies and procedures and documents that we needed together. And this is what we show you how to do as well. 3 is your clients. The resident is not your client. The kids are the key. And the Fill It Fast marketing formula that we show you in our training. So I know I already kind of ruined this one because I told you, but who really is your client? It's the adult child. It's the daughter, Judy. It's the son, Bob, as we affectionately call them. It's not the senior, it's the family. They're the ones who are searching for the home. They're the ones who are paying for the home. And they're the ones who are complaining or being complimentary about the home. You want to make sure that you are target marketing them appropriately and speaking to them in the way that they need to be heard. Rocky and Sherry, some of our incredible students, said that their vision is to open 100 luxury REL homes and sell them to the private equity. They're excited to be at the right place at the right time. They're opening their 8th home right now. Absolutely incredible. Number 4, remember we talked about how do seniors pay for this. So don't focus on Medicaid, focus on private pay residents and maximize that LTC insurance. So where does money come from to pay for this? Some people pay through Medicare. Some are subsidized by the VA. Some have LTC or long-term care insurance. Some have cash that they've saved up, their IRA, their investments, or they sell their home and use that money to pay for this. And of course, my favorite, I'm going to let my kids figure this out. You see, failing to prepare means, or what is it? Failing to prepare means preparing to fail, right? It's that fitness phrase or nutrition phrase that people use, but it's true in assisted living too. You're now here, you're now exposed, you've now heard me talk all about this, and you might be getting excited. You might be saying to yourself, I really could see myself doing this. So don't fall victim to that. Don't walk away from this saying, I'm going to leave this burden to my kids. Don't do that. You know, Walt, he was so nervous about his kids not being able to provide something that he needed. So he set up his own residential assisted living home. He set it up, he ran it for 5 years, and then he moved in the last 5 years of his life, right? And he had this home and he was cash flowing like crazy. But we asked him, come to our training because we want to know, are we missing anything? Is there anything that you know that we don't know that we can add in? And actually, when we taught him about that long-term care insurance, it blew his mind. He did the math and he said that he missed out on over $2 million in those 10 years. Absolutely insane. So we taught him that. So even if you are in this industry, there might be things that you're missing if you're not cash flowing the way that I'm advising right now, the way that all of our students and the way that we are. So systems, save yourself time, energy, and money. Systems are so critical for success. You've got to make sure that you have your team right. You've got to identify, train, and retain the best of the best staff. The real estate, many of you are already experts in that, how to locate, acquire it, and renovate it. You just need to know those little nuances for assisted living. And then funding. You might not want to use your own capital, and that is okay. We teach you the 7 ways to fund your RAL, as well as how to work with partners and set up your policies and procedures, emergency plans, menus, and schedules. All of those what ifs, right? That's your operations. Carla Lee, she did incredible. She came to our course in February, had a business in July. She opened 9 homes in less than 3 years. Absolutely amazing. The real question is, will you be the next success story, right? Today, I showed you the 5 keys to success in residential assisted living. We also went over the 3 smartest options to participate in RAL, as well as how to do this passively, being a preferred real estate provider. I showed you how you can make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, even $40,000 a month on one of these homes. And if you're interested, I'm not selling anything today. I'm just giving you a free book at the end, but we do host 3-day fast track trainings in Phoenix, Arizona, 8 times per year. We've got 4 left this year. These are our upcoming dates that we have. If you're interested, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to get you registered for that. But if this one RAL home could get you to your freedom number, it would be worth it all day. In our training, you'll learn the best opportunities for RAL in any area, how to determine if a property is right, how to attract investors and find that right team, how to fill your home quickly and do it all with or without your own capital. I want to fast track you to success so you can do one home and be set for life. So for free resources, you guys can go to ral101.com. We've got webinars there, books there, all sorts of freebie stuff for you there, ral101.com. I don't know if we can drop it in the chat, but that would be awesome. And I think that was it. So I hope that you guys learned a lot and that this was fun. And I don't know. There you go.
Yeah. Awesome stuff as always. I think that we kind of touched on at the beginning, is this really a niche investment? I don't think so. I think it's something that's it's all around us, and after I left Think Realty, that's where we met. I worked in self-storage, and we talk about asset classes that I hesitate to say recession proof because I never want to say that.
Yeah.
But when we talk about things that are recession resistant,
yes,
we always taught self-storage is very recession resistant for obvious reasons of it's emotional. Would you agree when you talk about recession resistance that assisted living is emotional, therefore it's going to be recession resistant because who isn't going to pay for their family's care?
100%. It is super emotional, and it's not like people, if times are really that rough, people will cut back on stuff that they think is something that they wouldn't. Like they'll downgrade their car, they'll downgrade their house, they'll do things like that, but they're not going to stop paying for their mom or dad's care.
Right.
Like they're just not, unless they're ready to quit their job, but that's so rare because I know me, I'm not built to be a caregiver, and many people aren't. And I would be putting my mom in a worse situation by saying, I'll take care of you. Like it wouldn't be good for our relationship. It wouldn't be good
We're
for
both going to fail if I do it. I know that about me. It's a lot.
Yes. So I think it is. There's a lot of emotionality involved with it, which does lead to it being recession resistant. I definitely agree.
And it was an interesting point when we were listening to your dad, Gene, talking with Mr. Dent about that. Nobody's seeing this coming.
Yeah.
And I think that this shines some light on that for people that open your eyes. This is an opportunity that you want to get in now.
Yes.
You want to get in now because even if it's the baby boomer generation, I mean, people are not only are there more people alive right now, we're living longer.
Yes.
We're living so much longer. And that begets the opportunity. So some of the questions that, and real estate, it's market specific. So
Yeah.
where, in your opinion, or where you see with your students and kind of, I mean, you guys are on the inside, you see the trends, you know, the numbers, the data, markets that are preferred for residential assisted living, is there such a thing as a preferred market, or is it really, where is home? Is home the preferred market, or is there such a thing as another preferred market? If we want to set somebody up with an assisted living facility as an investor, is there a preferred market to look for?
Okay, I'm going to answer this with two parts to it. First is preferred market for you. If you're going to be owning and operating this business and you never go to Montana, don't do it in Montana. 31% of owners do this remote. So you can definitely do this somewhere you don't live. It doesn't have, invest where you want, live where it makes sense, right? Do this wherever you want. But if you're going to do it somewhere don't live, then make sure that you're doing it somewhere you like to visit or want to go, right?
Makes
The
sense.
second part is don't do this in New York City. There's no residential homes there, right? You need it's suburbia. You need residential homes. So that's kind of, you can do this anywhere. We have students in all 50 states, Alaska, Hawaii, everywhere. And you can do it anywhere. You just have to find that suburban market. And when you do that demographic research, you'll find out exactly what you're looking for. And so you'll be able to target market. Okay, this is my county, and then even like down to the neighborhood that you really want to be in.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, your clients, you know, the students that come through the residential assisted living program, I know they're all over. I mean, we think about historically great markets. I mean, and a lot of the great markets are ones that a lot of times people don't even think of.
Yeah.
I lived in Kansas City for 12 years.
Yeah.
Kansas City is an amazing real estate market.
It is.
For fix and flips, for rental properties. Dayton, Ohio, you know, things like that people just don't even think about. Toledo, Raleigh, North Carolina. We think about Austin, we think about Nashville, we think about, you know, those kind of Tampa's just bonkers right now. Yeah. But those kind of tried and true, I'd say the secondary, tertiary markets is advantageous there as well, I would assume, with the students that you're seeing, right?
Definitely, you're going to want to look for, when you're doing your kind of demographic research, you're going to want to look for an area where there's predominantly people who are ages 50 to 70, who are upper middle class, and who are more than likely a homeowner. Because that's your daughter Judy, your son Bob, and that's who is, when mom or dad falls and breaks their hip, that's who is deciding where they're living, and they want it to be near them. So yes, definitely, we have so many successful students in the Midwest because real estate is hot there, but it's also much cheaper there. So the barrier to entry of getting in is pretty low, versus like, we do have a ton of students in California. In California, the pros and cons is you're limited to 6 residents in a home. So you don't have to do much renovation to a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. You know, that could work all day long, versus in I was just in Wisconsin, and you're allowed to have 12 residents in Wisconsin. Okay, you're not going to find a 12-bed, 12-bath home. You have to do massive renovations, you know? So,
or unless it's a lake house somewhere, and that's going to be millions and millions of dollars. So
exactly. So, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. If you're in a state where your maximum amount of residents is low, that could be a benefit to you, because maybe everything else is high, like California, you know. But if you're in a state where you're like Texas, you're allowed to have 16. I would build a 16-bed all day in Texas, and most of our students do, because it's relatively, in certain areas, still cheap out there, right? And if you can do 16, do 16. Why not? Why limit yourself?
Agree. I would agree with that. You know, if you think about the cap on this, I mean, why not have the highest cap possible and have the biggest earning potential?
Yeah.
Couple questions before we kind of head home here. I mean, and I can speak to this as an IRA specialist at Quest. People really use their IRA to do this. I'll say it in one word. Yes, they do. They do every day. But on your experience as well, I know you guys see it too, right?
Yes, definitely. And more like, a lot of people, that's how they're paying for their assisted living needs at the end of the day, like so many people. And then some people want to invest in others' projects using their IRA and stuff.
Exactly.
And obviously there's a lot of rules around that. So make sure you get with the Quest team to do it properly. But, you know,
I'm glad you touched on that, because that is something that we see a lot of. We certainly see the IRA directly owning that asset.
Yeah.
The houses.
Yeah.
The individuals there. But I think at Quest, in note investing is by far the most popular thing we see at Quest anyway. We see far more lending on those deals. But either way, think about it this way. And we get questions on from tax perspective for IRAs. Will I incur UBIT? Maybe. Talk to your CPA. You could. I mean, the unfortunate thing is our friends at the IRS, they don't make a lot of things very clear except for two things. What's the tax filing deadline and how much do you owe me? They make that very clear. So when it comes down to UBIT and things like that, could this be argued you're running a business? It could. Could it be argued that you're not running a business? It could. So I would always say, contact some of the IRA specialists, but definitely get with your attorney, CPA, tax advisor for those type of questions. But I would also tell you this. Look at it this way. If you're paying taxes, what does that mean? It means you made money.
Yep.
Is that really the worst thing in the world? No, it's not. While taking advantage of the benefits that the IRA provides, that's not bad at all. Right. I would also, I want to touch on something it's more kind of a personal thing. You mentioned your father many times here. We're Father's Day weekend. And, I said this at the beginning, the Guarino family, but especially Gene, really kind of created an industry here.
Yeah.
It really and truly, they created an industry. And when we think about reasons why we want to invest, diversification is always one people think about. And what an incredible opportunity from a diversification perspective. We use an IRA or not, who cares? Yeah. This is a phenomenal play to do it. And I'd be remiss on Father's Day weekend if I didn't say, like, your dad was one of the best people I ever met in this industry. And the things that he did for me personally, the things he taught me, the things that he brought to the industry, it's a pleasure to see that you guys are still carrying on that legacy. And I know it kind of touches on the heartstrings, and I don't want to get all emotional because, your dad was just that cool of a guy to me. But kind of speak to ultimately what this is. This is a legacy. And it's a legacy for the Guarino family, yes, 100%. Distill that down to John Smith, investor. What does that legacy really mean? When Gene said do good and do well, number one, he meant it. He lived it. But what does that mean to Joe investor out there? Yeah. Kind of break that down to what do good, do well means and how that benefits them, their family, their loved ones, but also their investment portfolio.
Yeah, I think it's so important because when my dad passed, we all kind of sat around and said, like, do we stop? Do we keep this going? Like, what do we do? And it just became such a no-brainer. He left me and my siblings with 3 cash flowing assets, 3 cash flowing businesses. I would be remiss. I would be doing the world a disservice with all the trends, with everything to come, if I didn't keep this going. So it was so important to me to keep it going and like live in his legacy and share that with as many people as I can. I think it's crazy that people, want to leave their kids just lump sums of cash, but like that gets blown so fast. And I'm just like, not
there
about
be some provisions in place if they do that.
I know. I'm like, that's not that. I mean, money is cool, but like leaving them something that's so impactful, and like they might want to be in this business with you. They might see what you're doing and be super excited about it. And eventually you're leaving them these cash flowing businesses. That's so impactful. Not to mention that if and when your loved one needs care, they can live in your own home for free. When you need that care, you're not leaving your kids any burden. You're not spending any of your own money. You literally get to live in your own home for free and then leaving your kids this blessing. It's like a triple threat. It's like got everything in one. If anything, it should just be a retirement plan. That's why I always say, like, just do one of these. If you're going to diversify, if you're going to be thinking about what happens to you, just do one. And if you're making that, much money on these homes, right, that we're suggesting, the 10, the 20, the 40, then you could be someone who could afford in-home care, right? How do you think my dad did it for my grandmother? Because he was making a lot of money. And so this opens up a world of possibilities to people who want more cash flow, who want to make a massive impact. And I think it's really important to, if you're listening, it's like, now you've been exposed. Now what? You're going to Knowledge is nothing if you're not going to take action. We all know how to lose weight, eat less, move more, but yet 50% of the country's obese, right? Because knowledge means nothing if you don't take action. So you've heard this now, you've been exposed to it now, and it's like, if you don't do it, that's on you. That's your thing to sleep with that night, you know?
Agree. And you touched on something there, that gene putting your grandmother in. It's how many times do we go, and you know this because you've been doing this as long as I have, if not longer. We go to the event and it's the wholesale guy or it's the fix and flip guy or whatever program they're selling, and they haven't done a wholesale deal in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done a fix and flip deal in 20 years, and they're still shoveling the same program that they were doing in the 90s. Nothing wrong with that because maybe it still works, but I think it's different when you're actually still doing it.
Yeah.
So I would agree with you when knowledge is nothing. The notes people are taking, they're just words on paper if you don't actually apply it. I would try to impress upon people one thing as we go home here is utilize Isabelle and her team as resources. Take the next step, do their boot camps. If there's something that interests you, you got to take the action to do it. Come see them at the Quest Expo. Go out to Phoenix the next week, see them at the conference. Immerse yourself in this stuff as much as possible. And from a Quest Trust perspective, call us and see how you can utilize your IRA for something that's really impactful and a potential game changer inside of your own portfolio while doing something great for your loved one. So, Isabelle, it's always a pleasure to see you. I saw you in March in Houston. I look forward to seeing you in September in Houston. Hopefully I can go out to Phoenix to the event. I was at the Academy National Con in 2018.
Yeah.
Had a nice cigar with Gene and the world's most interesting man. So cross that off the old bucket list. But it's always a great time, and it's always great to see you guys. As I said at the beginning, you guys are some of my favorite people. Your brother, your mom, you, your father, all great people that I've loved working with. And it's always great to continue on as now I'm with Quest. We started when I was at Think Realty. It's always good to see you guys here.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. This was really fun. And I hope to see a lot of you guys at Quest Expo or REL NatCon.
And guys, reach out to us again if you need help with anything. Call us 855-FUN-IRAs. Please reach out to Isabelle and her team at Residential Assisted Living, and go see the conference. Come see us at the expo. Go see their conference. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to the great dads who are no longer with us. And we mean that from the heart. Your dad was a great, great man. And just celebrate each other, celebrate your dads this weekend. If you need us for anything, let us know. We're always here to help. Quest Trust Company, again, we're the leaders in self-directed IRA education and alternative education. It's been a great event here today. Look forward to seeing you down the road. Have a good weekend, everyone.